Hey, friend. There's a quiet tension I've been feeling lately. The kind that can't easily be explained. Grief isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a silent shift, like hot flashes, or realizing you're grieving a version of yourself you didn't expect to lose. I recently found out I'm experiencing perimenopause. I still feel like I'm in my 20s. I feel like I'm a PYT. Meanwhile, my body is like, sis, we can't get down like we used to. So it's no gluten, no alcohol. Oh, and make sure you walk for 45 minutes. Strength train, because once you get over a certain age, you start to lose your muscle definition. Make sure you eat all your fruits and vegetables. Drink 100 ounces of water. Increase your protein. Oh, and you need to be in bed by 9 because you need to get a full 8 hours of sleep. It's funny, but it's also disorienting if I'm being honest with you, because nobody really tells you how much this stage of life can feel like an ending, or when something amazing happens in your life and you feel that bit of sadness, but you really can't put your finger on it or put words to how you're truly feeling. This episode is about the sacred in between. Because what I know to be true is that two things can be true at the same damn time. Let me tell you something. This summer has been my most favorite by far. I've just been having so much joy in the summer, a joy that I did not think that I would find again. And it just hit me out of nowhere this summer, and I'm just really fully embracing it as much as I can. But while I'm experiencing this joy, there's also this grief that crept up on me that I wasn't really expecting. I had gotten some blood work done with my nurse practitioner, and I got a full blood panel done, like the works, which was one of the best things I could have done for myself. I'm so glad that I didn't give up advocating for myself and finding the right nurse practitioner to get the help that I needed so that I can get down to the results of why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And you might be listening and not even sure why this resonates. Maybe you've been feeling off, disconnected, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix, snapping at people, withdrawing, losing motivation in your business or creativity. My friend, that might be grief. Grief is what we feel when something changes suddenly or slowly. When you lose a relationship, a business, a dream, or a version of yourself. It's the wanting of what used to be. If something in you has felt heavy, but you haven't had the words, this is your reminder that grief comes in many forms, and naming it is a form of healing. So today, I'm going to lay down some foundations, some themes that I'm going to be covering in today's episode. And as a matter of fact, this episode actually kicks off my In My Feelings series, where I'm going to be talking more about grief awareness. I'm just going to share my perspective and my experience with grief in a way that is helping me to process it as I'm going through it. I just wanted to share it in real time as I'm exploring it, because honestly, until I really start to pay attention to my grief is when I really start to educate myself on what it is. I provide you with language that I'm learning that may be helpful for you on your journey. Because sometimes when we're in grief, we don't really know what to call it, right? It's nothing we've experienced before, so we don't really know. And then it's not a lot of conversation around it. And the conversation that is around it focuses on just death and divorce, and grief is so expansive. In that expansiveness, it can get lost in translation. That's why I continue to educate myself in a way that just makes it practical and relatable for me so that I can understand it. As we get into naming it as a form of healing, I want to lay the foundation for us and share some terms that I've been learning along the way that have helped me to put language to what I'm feeling and helping me to recognize it so that I can navigate and manage it. The themes that I'm going to explore today in this grief awareness series: anticipatory grief, disenfranchised grief, and identity. So let's break that down. Anticipatory grief is the grief you feel before a change or loss actually happens. That heaviness when you know something's shifting, a role, a season, your health, a relationship, but you haven't fully stepped into that after yet. Like you know it's coming. So that's where it gets its anticipatory. You're anticipating that change. The next thing is disenfranchised grief. This is when the loss you feel isn't recognized, validated, or openly talked about by society. There's no ritual, no sympathy cards, no take the week off. It's invisible grief, the kind you feel like you have to carry alone. And what I learned about disenfranchised grief is that the invisible grief that we carry, we typically put unrealistic expectation on other people to help us figure it out when they themselves don't have the language to put to it. So it's unfair of us to put that load and responsibility on other people to know how to help us. We really have to understand what we're going through in order to tell other people how to support us through those seasons. And the last theme I'm going to be touching on is identity loss. This happens when a core part of who you are changes or disappears. It's not just getting older. It's feeling like the map you've been using for your life doesn't match the territory anymore. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned those grief awareness themes since I am really going to be highlighting grief in these episodes. This month, I am not a licensed therapist or licensed counselor or anything like. I'm none of those things. So please do your research. I am just someone who is sharing her lived experience with grief and in my journey of becoming more aware of it because it helps with my healing. You might be feeling this if the things that used to excite you now feel flat, like it's just gone. You look in the mirror and you don't fully recognize yourself. You find yourself nostalgic for old seasons, not because you want to go back, but because you miss who you were in them. And here's the part that I don't hear a lot about. This isn't just emotional. It's physical, it's spiritual, and it's creative too. When we get our first periods, it's celebrated or at least marked as a rite of passage into womanhood, right? But nobody throws you a party for perimenopause. Nobody tells you this transition out of reproductive years is its own rite of passage, one with emotional, physical, and identity shifts. It's like the culture celebrates your entry, but goes silent about your evolution. And that silence can make you feel invisible in your own story. And honestly, guys, that's how I've been feeling this summer. I've been feeling this amazing joy, but then I'm also dealing with this identity loss. I feel like I'm invisible in my own story. I feel like I don't know my body anymore. And I'm coming to learn it all over again, which is crazy, right? Because now I have all of these, what I feel is limitations. I'm not going to say restrictions. It's for my best interests and my health. But I just really feel like I just have so many limitations now. Not being able to eat certain foods that I once enjoyed. Not being able to do certain workout movements. Obviously, because the older I get, the more muscle mass I lose. So it's kind of like, okay, I can't like really go hard with cardio like I once did because that affects my cortisone levels. And it's, it just all these things go together that you don't know go together until you're really going through and experiencing it. So here's what I'm learning though. Two things can be true. You can miss what was and still make room for what's next. You can grieve who you've been and still step boldly into who you're becoming. And you can hold the longing of change and the anticipation of joy. I personally feel like I've been conditioned to think that I have to pick a side. Either I'm grieving or I'm thriving. Either I'm broke or I'm blessed. And sometimes I'm broken, and I'm blessed. It's just been very interesting. But real life is layered like that, right? Real life holds tension in that way. So if you've been judging yourself for smiling while still healing, or creating with tears in your eyes, or building something new while missing someone deeply, let me remind you, you are not betraying your grief by experiencing joy, and you are not betraying your joy by honoring your grief. My God, that is a word for me. And if joy feels far away right now, that's okay too. This isn't about forcing joy. It's about making room for it to return when it's ready. No pressure, no timeline, none of that stuff. Just like flow instead of forcing it. Just the gentle belief that it's allowed to come back when you're ready to receive it. And know this, you are not faithing it. Let's stop with the narrative of fake it till you make it. How about we replace that with faith in it until we make it, putting our trust in something higher than ourselves? Because we certainly can't do this alone. You're showing up imperfectly, but intentionally. And I love that for you. You're learning to hold multiple truths at once. And that's a strength most people never talk about. And one of the interesting things I find in the Bible is that he talks about weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And here's what I recognize. It doesn't say weeping is wrong. It doesn't say joy only comes when the grief is finished. It reminds us both are real, both exist. And sometimes the morning isn't a time of day. It's a mindset, a soft awakening, a moment of clarity that says, God hasn't left me, even in this. Even in this, God hasn't left me. Sit with that for a second and repeat that back to yourself. God hasn't left me, even in this. And maybe you haven't talked about your grief at all. Maybe it's been quiet, it's been private. You've been silent about it. Something you've only brought to God, or maybe not even to God yet. You haven't even taken it to Him. If you've been carrying grief in silence, if you've been showing up for everyone else but haven't had the words for your own grief experience, I want you to know there's a seat for you here. There's space for you here. You don't have to explain or perform or make it look nice and pretty. Grief doesn't disqualify you from joy. It deepens your capacity for it. I know some people, including myself, we got a song for everything, right? And so as I was sitting with all of this Jill Scott song, Golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden. And that song kept coming to my mind as I was grieving this part of myself of getting older. And as she was singing it, I felt it spark something in me. Like, I felt it like it was an anthem. She says, I'm holding on to my freedom, can't take it from me. I was born into it, it comes naturally. And that was a reminder that I needed. There is so much healing in music, which is why I love it so much. It can get me out of a funk instantly. There's a freedom I can hold on to. A freedom that God gave me. A freedom that's not tied to a number, a body, or a season. And then she went even deeper. She said, I'm taking my own freedom. I'm putting it in my stroll. Baby, listen, she said, I'll be high stepping, y'all, letting the joy unfold. And that's where I want to land today. Two things can be true. You can miss what was and still make room for what's next. You can walk forward with your freedom intact, your joy unfolding, and your high step in full effect. Because nobody can do you like you, boo. What part of your identity are you grieving? And what freedom can you hold on to in this next season? This week, notice the both and moments. The ones that make you cry and smile in the same breath. I did this just yesterday. I'm not going to hold you. I was having a conversation with somebody. I just bust out crying. I don't even know where it came from. I just sat there and let myself cry. I did. I took 3 deep breaths. She held my hand, let me cry through it. She looked at me, smiled at me. We both shook our heads like, yes, sis, I get it. I get it. I breathed through it. And then we started talking about something else. And then I bust out laughing. And here's the thing. Don't shrink from those moments and don't dismiss them. Allow yourself to feel it. Let those feelings remind you you're healing, you're whole, you're human. Because two things can be true. And you, my friend, are living proof. Thank you for listening to the Purpose to Create podcast. If you haven't yet, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and send this episode to a friend. Until next time, keep creating with purpose.